This conference will now be recorded.
Oh, let's make sure everybody can see this. All right, well, welcome everybody. The NATE October Clubhouse chat. We've got Monica and Carolyn here to talk with us about the new, it's not really new, just a revised skills certification program. We have a very short little presentation about what's going on. We went through and Carolyn, Monica, me, Chris Rader, and Marianne Eustace went through and revised the skills certification program. If you're new to it, it's an educational appraisal and recognition program for teams preparing to enter the NATE competition titling program. Yes, I just read the slide. But it really is, the idea is to give people a chance to check out where they are as they try to get ready to title and get a little recognition on the way. As we went through, we decided to go through and revise for a lot of reasons. It is one of the first ones is we really needed to clean up things for both the members and the administrators, the back end. We were going through a lot of emails back and forth trying to get things done. It was all pretty clunky. And we also wanted to define who could be evaluators, and then integrate our recent rule changes, and then just improve and support it so the program, so it would be a better source for everybody. Oh, what did we do? What did we overall change? We really define how to become.
Hold on, Carolyn, you might want to mute. We got the noise again.
Okay, I'm sorry, it didn't work.
Oops, it was a good try for a while. But we wanted to, we really had to go about and define how you could become an evaluator, how to find an evaluator, and even how the evaluator is supposed to interact with the organization. We created forms for the member submissions and the evaluator results, greatly streamlining things from the way they had been. Big time, Monica did a great job revising all of the website pages, organizing everything better, and it is now organized by skill level instead of skill. And the big one is we added some 34 sample videos of all the skills. There's almost every level has at least 4 videos as an example, and if you go to our YouTube channel, you'll find even more. So if people have any questions, they wonder what it looks like, they have something they can go and see. So all of the skills, what thing changes or clarifications we made for all the skills. You may start and apply for certification at any level on any of the skills. You don't have to start at level 1. The handbook of rules apply for all the handler area and the ball selection. Goal areas are not needed for the skill certification. Food and toys are permitted for use between or after each skill, and also between any direction changes. Mats are not permitted, and cues can be given at any time. There used to be some guideline about when you could and couldn't use a cue, so we've opened that up to they can be given at any time now. For the specific skills, we now have the SIN skill, which was formerly called the distance skill, and we renamed it to better reflect what it is, that it's all about your ability to send your dog. Each one of the skills has distance as a factor, but this one is really about your ability to send it. We added 5 seconds max time to each level, and we changed the wording. Instead of saying that the dog has to wait, we changed that to just a pause. We really didn't want somebody trying to make sure the dog sat for exactly 2 seconds, and nobody should be disqualified because the dog sat for 1.5 seconds. The push skill, a few more changes to that one. We made a handler area the same size for all the levels. We increased the maximum time by level instead of by the dog size. The level 3 distance would decrease to 35 feet. I believe it was 45 feet before. We changed it so that you may not reach out of the handler area to get the ball, just because that's the way the rules are in the regular game. We also permit a staff now for use, just again, because it's permitted in the rules. So there's no reason in the skills certification it shouldn't be permitted. And we removed the limits on the pushing method. The skills certification used to be very specific about exactly which body parts the dog could use for pushing. So we took those off because we don't specify those in the regular rules either. Directional cues. I see my slides are not actually catching up as fast as I'm talking. Hopefully they'll catch up. There we go. The directional cues, what we changed, or what did we change for that? Again, we changed that 2-second hold to just merely a pause. We added a recall to the handler at the end, which was just something that was left out. So you sent your dog and did some directionals, and then according to the skill test, and then it was over, and your dog was just stuck out there somewhere. We added a second direction to level 1, so the dog has to show skill and proficiency in both directions. The level 3 objects were reduced to being only 10 feet apart instead of 12 feet. And the level 3 objects were moved closer so that they're now 15 feet from the handler instead of 20 feet. So I do believe, yes, that is the end of the slides. So from here, we turn it over to discussion and questions. So I'm done with my part there.
Thank you for that.
Speed change.
There's only, there was one little issue in your slide there, my friend.
Oh,
the level 3 objects were actually increased from 15 to 20 feet.
Oh, so I lied. That's bad of me.
Yeah, so instead of it being the same distance as level 2, it added 5 feet.
Okay. Oh, that is okay. Okay. Yep. So that's wrong. Don't pay attention to the slide.
Hey, you did a great job on those slides. Thank you, Chris.
All right. So from there, we'll open up the questions or discussions or whatever.
All right. Well, Sandy, do you have any questions?
Just unmuting here. Not really, since I've already got all my certificates on both my dogs.
Well, you are one of our primary examples, and if anybody wants to see your super cute Shelties in there, they just need to go to the page and look for you.
You're there.
Looks like Marianne just joined us. Sorry, Sandy, I cut you off. What did you say?
I said I'll have to go to the site and see which videos you put up there.
Yeah, you're famous.
You're famous, yeah. You go to the YouTube channel, they're all there.
They're all there. All right.
Yeah, and I mean, I did work hard on the website, but Chris, you really worked hard getting video of all of your students. So that was really, really an accomplishment. Thank you so much for doing that.
They were the big. They did it. They did well.
Awesome. Hey, Marianne, I saw that Marianne joined us. I'm not sure if she's talking. Looks like she is muted, and we've got Amanda muted as well. So, so just for the sake of the recording, I wanted to any trainers that are listening to this in the future, we do have a tracking sheet that you can use with when you have multiple students that you're working through their skills. So we're working on where that's going to be positioned. So you can just shoot an email over to me if you listen to this and you're interested. I have currently got 6 students I'm working through on the skills, and I was like, I need somewhere to track this. So I made a little quick reference and tracking sheet where you can just jot down the date that each of your students does each of the individual tests, and then when and if they decide to go ahead and apply for the certificate with Nate, you've got your information right there for you. So if anybody's interested in that, just get in touch. I don't know, maybe we could talk a little bit about how we think it's helpful to use the skills in the learning process. I don't know, maybe Sandy, you have some thoughts on that.
No, I drove to Northern Indiana and back today, and I have no brain cells whatsoever.
All right, Sandy has no thoughts. Hey, it's fine. It's fine. Some days we have no thoughts. All right. How about Chris?
Right.
Do you want to talk about it?
If you have a specific question, I might be able to address it.
That was too vague. All right. All right. I have a specific question. Which skill test do you think is the most helpful?
With my girls, it was kind of a combination of the send and then the directional. A lot of times my girls like to bump the balls on the way out, so both of those gave me a chance to work on those traits.
Okay, nice.
As a trainer, I think I like all three of them for giving you a feel for where you are in the process. When you probably know, well, it gives you something to measure yourself against when you know you're not really quite ready to trial, to go for those titles, but you know you're getting somewhere, and so it gives you a yardstick to work against. So I think that it gave people some goals to work against too. It's like, okay, wow, I've got 1 and 2. I need to get a little further for 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
I think a lot of
dog
people
does away really well, but come by not so good.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I'm a one-directional dog.
Yeah.
Yep.
That seems to be very common. I think one of the things I really like about it is, we all struggle with being lumpers instead of splitters, I think, some of us more than others. And just the structure of the skills certification program forces us, I guess, to split. And I like that. Keeps all of us honest and going, okay, let's see if our dog can do this one part of the skill on its own. Can they push from a stay, without adding in the send? And so then you're really given the structure to keep yourself on that splitted out track, as long as your dog probably needs it,
Right. And I agree. I think it's very good from the standpoint that there's a real tendency to like, oh, well, I can't do the whole thing. But wait, your dog can push all the way from all distance. They just aren't so willing to go out, or they're willing to go out, but they struggle to push it in straight. Or it allows you to break down and say, yeah, you do have some strengths, and this is where you can work. So I agree. Let's see.
All right, am I good?
Yeah,
No, am I live? I switched my 1980s iPad. So I know Amanda, you do agility too, and anybody else who does multiple sports. Now this is something that just for recording reasons, or anybody else is doing other sports. So the thing I am learning that I'm struggling with. So I learned from YouTube, and I did ATA, and I did that send out that they did, the cross body thing, which I realize now that when I do agility, I'm pushing my dog off and he drops bars. And then I also do this thing with the Frisbee where I do this flip behind the back, but if I do that in agility, it goes off course. So I bet this is like my agility trial time. So I realized, and I'm looking at the videos like, oh my God, like all these things that I've been doing, multi-sport. I mean, it just takes a split second because that's all you have, that all these little jerks and turns, and just because I slid my hand behind the back. So for the future, I mean, I know a lot of people do multi-sports, and even like freestyle. When I first started training my first class, people were just like, well, I can't do it that way because I do I teach my dog to twirl this way. So anyway, what I was getting to is that the skills are really, I wish I would have paid more attention to that. Well, maybe I should send and be consistent instead of realizing that this in agility means, all right, go and make a sharp turn this way, or and it's really, I'm really struggling now. I'm struggling in kind of both sports because I do things that I don't. It's just like, oh, this is fun, and it's innate in his brain that when I just do a little thing on the side, that doesn't mean go to my side and sit, which I'm trying to do for Treibball, is to get him to send from the right side. But that signal that I'm doing right now means go around to the other side of me, go around me. So I guess what I'm saying is that the skills are real important, I think, to really pay attention to the cues that you're giving your dog. So, because I've had to go way back to that foundation, is like, what is he? And I can, the thing with, border collie, you can redirect him. I can redirect him, but man, he's lippy. He's like, that doesn't mean that. So, and I know the more he barks, the more he's just like, God damn, oh, I'm sorry. But I'll do it. But your cues are very
Sloppy.
They're sloppy.
Yeah.
And so now I mean, I know we're all new at this, but if anybody else has feedback,
A great
that's
topic.
cross training. I guess it's cross training. How really honing in on, and
but
like
also
yeah,
the importance of physical cues and
yes,
being consistent, even if
Yeah.
you're not cross training.
Mhm.
Because as you go from the standard game to balls in order, all your
Mhm.
sloppy sending, flopping your arms around is going to
They
come back to
show
haunt
up.
you,
Yep,
which
yep.
is, what I've been seeing with some of my advanced students.
Yeah. Yep. And that's across the board, and Frisbee, agility, it's all come up now that we're in excellent, whatever. It's all like surfacing, like no more mistakes, blah, blah, blah. So, I just kind of go back. And so anybody who's listening that's just beginning is just like this, really paying attention to those cues, because they're so hard to reverse. Not impossible, but yeah,
it's that's why I tell the people coming in the classes, the first thing is like, anything we do, make sure we are consistent. If you send your dog in agility, with your left
Yes.
hand to go this direction, then that's what you do in Treibball.
Mm-hmm.
Always stay consistent if at all possible. So yeah, you're right. It's a big deal.
And foot
Might be-
direction, yeah. And I mean, we train our dogs. They're supposed to like look at the chest, and when it's a different, because you're moving with your dog anyway. Like I think he tends to look at me a lot in agility now, and it's because so I'm wondering, like, if there is some, we're giving signals because you're running parallel, but then you're telling, well, basically look at me from this direction. So, like, I'd be interested just to do like if people that had difficulties. And Sandy, Sandy, is it you that do it? There's so many, Monica, you were saying that somebody else does. Pam Mason, I think, but she's not here, does agility as well. Amanda, you do agility too, right?
Yep. I don't think. Yep.
Yep. And so yes, so do I. So does Sandy. Yeah.
I did agility though before I did football.
Right. Yeah, I think it's easier when you if you're trying to mix Treibball in with another sport. Well, if you've already been doing another sport, it's easier to look and go, okay, no, I know how to be clear with Treibball. But if you start Treibball first and then go to something like agility, you can find yourself messed up. Because I know I see a lot of people out there with Treibball who are doing the more of the cross arm sense, and that'll get you in trouble in agility.
It might be really helpful to have some video footage of different body cues and why you would want to choose one over the other.
Right. Yeah, well, I think Chris made a good point, because I started both kind of at the same time, and Bodie wasn't, my border collie wasn't ready to compete yet when he was younger, so I started with the Treibball as well, and not thinking, I didn't know, like eventually, like this cross arm is something. So I'm trying to eliminate that totally and just do this. But I mean, I trained it for a year or so that way, so.
Right. Very hard to go back. You're like, yes, I know. Yeah.
So yeah, but I think these will be fun things for us as trainers, and as the game progresses, is that this is something that we say, hey, if you're coming from the sport, because you do get a lot of the retirees from other, because high impact, I guess, sports.
Right.
That this is something that maybe the way you send, or different verbal cues or hand signals that
right.
are similar, what are different. You can go with that. They already know what go out means. Then how can we implement?
Yeah, so a video on tips for transitioning from agility to Treibball and how to avoid pitfalls. I think that you two should collaborate on that. That would be a good thing to have.
Yeah,
that's your homework assignment.
Because I see a lot of difference too. People coming from obedience.
Yeah,
I was gonna say that too.
Yeah, and so
obedience,
in obedience, they have a lot of very specific cues just in their body position and how they're holding it. So especially when the dog is out and facing them, what they expect, versus now when the dog's not supposed to be out there and supposed to be doing stuff, and the dog's like, no, I better just recall. No, I just better sit. It's like, no, new rules. So yeah, whether you're transitioning from obedience or agility, probably the two most common transitions. But yeah, I could see that'd be a very good
topic.
Good thing to cover.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, put it on the list.
I'm writing it down.
Oh, good. I like that.
But I'm not.
Well, I have to say, I think in behalf of spinning dogs, Sandy, I know, because I watch your videos with the Shelties. I'm happy that we eliminated the spin.
Oh, yeah.
Eliminating. Yeah. And the poodles too, I think. Right? All us spinners.
There's on my
the barking spinners.
They're Shelties, what can I say?
Sheltie.
Particularly my little one.
We have an extra caller here who has not yet identified themselves.
She texted me. It's Suzanne Crosby.
Oh, Suzanne's listening in, but not talking.
Yeah, she just got in.
Yeah, I just got home, so I just jumped in on the phone.
Oh, is that you, Suzanne?
Uh-huh.
Yay. Well, we're ready to transition to general training questions if anybody has any good ones or simple ones.
Suzanne, she has the Eskimo, right? Or the
Sammy's,
yeah.
Arctic.
I
Yes,
was good. A Samoyed.
Samoyed,
Yep.
sorry, yeah. But you have a Barker spinner, right? A Barker, right? Who?
Oh,
Very
yeah.
difficult.
Well, she has definitely has strong opinions. So. Yeah.
So, do you have a training question about that? Because like I think I judged one of your videos and I'm like, oh, that's familiar.
Yeah. But,
This
are you
is,
the one that looked at her advanced runs?
Probably.
yeah,
Probably.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I loved your comment. I was like, oh my God, that is so true. Yeah,
Well,
I think, and Chris can jump in here if she wants to, but I think, she gets to the point where, I've done all these and you haven't given me a cookie. I'm not working for free here. So I think that's a lot of the time when she starts talking to me.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep.
She's very aware of the pay scale. Yes.
Yeah. And I can't do a lot of repetitions with her. She starts thinking. Their breeds tend to do a lot of thinking and figuring out on their own. It's a good skill when you're doing sledding or trying to decide whether you should run over ice or not. But they only, after she's done it and done it right a couple 3 times, she start getting sassy with me too, because it's like, what do you want me to do? I've done this already 3 times. No. So.
well, I commend you because I had a Siberian Husky, so I know those Arctic breeds.
Yeah, I love them. It's just,
Yeah.
They can be challenging, but
Yes.
they love doing things. So
Yeah.
she loves Treibball, and it's been a godsend for us because she's got an injury that's keeping her from doing agility.
Mm-hmm.
But Treibball she can still do, so that's been great.
Yeah.
So you brought up, Suzanne, the getting a paycheck. Maybe that's a good topic because Chris introduced her idea of you put the treat pouch outside the field and give them 1 cookie per ball. You want to talk about that a little bit, Chris? Because that was just an email to me, right? I don't think we.
Yeah, I don't know if I got it.
You put something on Facebook too. You were describing how to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was a Facebook post. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So it was, and I've been trying it, and I'm a little stumped.
So yeah, and that's one that I introduced once we're to the point where we are breaking away from the constant treating for the regular game, whatever the game is we're playing. So we're getting to the point where the dog's having to put in a lot of effort, and there's clearly no reward other than just playing the game and enjoying it. So once they've done a round, whatever they are, 3 balls, wherever we are, we walk off the field and we continue the game, so to speak. And it's a big production. We go to the treat pouch, and it's a great big production of tossing out, 1, 2, I count them out, however many, and it's a big, Mickey just jumped up. We're doing it. So the game continues. We not only do we go get the balls and we go on it, we go out and then we play the whole catch however many treats, and the amount of treats he gets correlates to how much work he had to do. So the fun continues.
I hadn't gotten that you're throwing those treats, so that's a good
Oh,
piece to add.
it's a big, fun, snapping game and catch the treats, oh boy. And if he misses ones, I wait till he finds it. And he's like, I'm ready for another, let's do it. So it's a continued game instead of just, yeah, here's some cookies. It's a big.
So my
ongoing
specific question was as you're starting it up, so we were experimenting, and so for example, we did it first with one ball,
Mhm.
and then we did it with 2 scattered balls.
Mhm.
And that's as far as we got 2 weeks ago. We had enough class last week. So is that the progression that you would use?
Yep, to get them used to that whole idea of, and we'll do stuff like that when we're getting used to the idea that you're going to have to enter the ring with no cookies on you. So it really is go out, retrieve that one ball, we leave, and we go get a cookie. So that whole process is being rewarded, so that they get used to that. And we start, just like you said, with one ball. So they start saying, oh, this is what I do now. I come out, even though my person doesn't have food on them, we do the thing, and then we go out and we get a cookie. And when that seems all happy, sappy, we do it with 2. Build that up. So yeah, it sounds like you're doing just fine.
All right.
That's the way I do it. Sandy's nodding. Yep, we did that.
So would you then, from 2 balls, 2 separated balls, would you go to 3 scattered balls, or would you then go to the novice formation?
Oh, I do both. It could
Doesn't
be
matter at that point.
Doesn't matter. The whole point is we go out, we do some work, and we go back out and we get some cookies. What I don't do is, and I separate that out from, we're going out to work on some skill, whatever that might be. I'm trying to build distance or directional cues or something. This is purely for, we're doing what the dog knows at the level they know. So it's not, the training is getting used to the idea that we go and we work without cookies on the field, but not for a new skill or expanded skill.
Right, I like that distinction.
So you're saying one ball, they get one cookie? Are you doing a cookie party regardless of how many balls are out there?
So yeah, I guess in general, so if there would be one ball on the field, I don't want them thinking that there's 3 balls on the field, they retrieved one and we're going to go leave and get a cookie.
Right. All the balls.
My dog would, I think that would work for some dogs, but like my dogs with the multi-sports, the expectation is to get a jackpot. If they went out there, did a perfect push in, whatever, we did the whole routine, got out and they got one cookie, that's like below minimum wage, and it would demotivate them.
Yep, and that's where you've got to know what is their pay scale. You got to go with what their pay scale is, definitely.
And of course, you could do a toy tug game as well.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about starting beginning people off with going into the field, leaving the treat pouch out, going into the field and just doing whatever their dog could do, if that's a sit and 2 hand targets, and then put the leash back on and exit the field again?
I probably wouldn't, just because I find too many beginners are too cheap. I don't like to give them an excuse to be cheap with the cookies or rewards. But that's just, it seems like, I don't, that would be what I would be avoiding. Is I know far too many people who are willing to make their dog work harder than what they're really ready to do.
Capable to do.
Yeah.
So I think, Monica, as somebody that, because you're used to that field, you've been there, and when you're teaching classes, if your students come like once a week, so your dog gets used to a certain, like, this is why, and I that was more like my next training thing is like, so why I think the skills are awesome is because you can put the mats, you can put the cones in your car, and you take them to a new place, it's completely different scenario. And that's when, if I bring Bodie at the center, if I train there, can go out his 150 feet and bring in the 3 balls, but I take him to the park he's never been to, I may get 15, 20 feet. At this, there's bikers, and so then the rewards become, I have to base it on the smells, what's going on, and that's very so I think that was something that when I look back on when my students came in, I just assumed that they had the same, like their dogs are used to it, and they do. The dogs do get used to it because they come every week, but they don't have that like it is a new place, and there can be, if you're working outside, there's treats, or there's the dogs that were in the class before, you got all that, and there's a rabbit in the field up there, like a deer poop that wasn't there last week, so I gotta investigate that, and you're fighting against these things. So where the skills come, like sometimes, like the skills are just like, sometimes you just have to put that mat out. Let's just get them. Okay, let's just do. I know you could do 6 balls last week, but everything's changed since then. I mean, maybe the dog and heat came in since then. Maybe this happened. I mean, there's just so much more involved, because I know it's a learning process for me too. It's just being new to dog sports myself, is that every trial is different, because there could be an intact male, or there could be the way just is designed where you walk in and there's another, it's just different. It's just different. So, and it could be just like that crumb of cookie, and you got a terrier, or a leaf blows by, God forbid. So that's where the skills, I think that having mats in the back, I love that. I'm like, if I can't get my dog to go out to a mat, and sometimes I can't, because Bodhi's like, oh my God, this is so much more different stimulus, that even just going out to a mat or behind 3 cones, where he can bring in 9 balls where he's used to, but just sending him out to 3 cones at 25 feet in a new place is a super,
it's a new set of distractions.
You have to go, and then the reward. So like, I guess what Chris, and I'm interested in what you have to say as far as rewards. I'm rewarding, like, oh my God, that was awesome. That you did 15 feet with a cone, even though he's been doing that 1.5 years, but this is a whole new scenario.
Yeah, you bet. You're right on. That's you're right on there, because we're kind of lucky around here. We had the base group of dogs, which would include Sandy and Suzanne's dogs. We have been to 3 different facilities working with Treibball in the facilities, and each time we went to a different facility, everything
the indoor,
the dogs went, oh, I've never done that here. They all kind of turned stupid. And we took these, some newer dogs, and some of these dogs really experienced. And Labor Day weekend, we went to another place, and some of the dogs had even been there before, and they still acted like they had not played Treibball before.
Yeah.
And it all had to be broken back, and all these dogs have played it at home. But new place, and they just went, whoa, new. And so, Cookies had to come back. Everybody went back to kind of square one, because new place, they had to be reintroduced to it again. It's the way it is.
It's a great idea, Carolyn. Oh, I was going to say, it's a great idea to think that the skills can be used to take to a variety of places, and it gives you, again, a framework to go, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and start with level 1 skills at this park, and then build up, and then choose different locations. And again, you can be evaluating your dog's attention and their ability to work, instead of needing to have all the balls Yeah,
Right.
that's great.
You're
Right.
on.
And sometimes I just go to and that's why I did a short thing on Treibball without the balls, and just if I'm at a park, I'll send them around a tree. Just, oh, can you do it here? And it just has to be a minute, or not even, it's just like, can you do it? And can he? No. He's just like, why are you making me do this? And that's too hard. And so that's the whole thing, is like, how do you practice this? And I know we're not there yet where we're doing it in trials, but that's going to be the case. You're going dogs, how to get them to do. So that's why the skills are awesome. Yeah, you don't necessarily need a ball.
Yep. I remember one of my students was talking about she was playing something with her dog in the with the backyard, and I don't know, she threw a frisbee or threw something, and the dog couldn't find it. She knew where it was, but the dog couldn't find it, and so she was trying to give him the cues, away, getting him to circle, and he turned and looked at her like, we're not doing that here. What are you talking about? But once she got it moving, it's like that was one more way for him to practice that, getting him to no, these cues mean the same thing, even if you don't see that great big exercise ball out here. But he had that moment of, I don't know what you're talking about. Stop that.
I was going to add that can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Now I hear you.
Okay. I was going to add that when I first was asked to start like teaching Treibball to other people after I'd been dabbling in it for a little bit, I took the skills and I wrote my beginning level classes off of those skills. So I broke them down even further with the goal of being the skill. And I think that after thinking about this for so long now, I got asked to teach agility in a different facility, and I was thinking about it because my goal was to teach Treibball there, and I was thinking about it because the lady's like, well, what about teaching like a seminar or something? And I thought about it, I'm like, you know what? People that think that Treibball is just for herding dogs, this is a nice way to show forth things, to say, look, these are the core skills you will need to actually play the game, and this is how it all comes together. It's a nice little taster of everything.
Cool. That's true. Yeah, that's very nice.
Well, it's nice that, and that could be something itself, because I think it doesn't matter, because I don't think it is like hurt. I mean, if the balls are moving, yeah, the herders naturally. I had a friend of mine, we were just playing around. He's like, oh, can I play? And the dog just naturally, we were kicking the balls, and the dog just naturally like went in and he started pushing it. He didn't bring it, but he never played before. So there is something to that, but when the balls aren't moving, so I actually sometimes feel like some of the Goldens have like an advantage, because they don't have this the bitiness, and they're used to like some of the field work, and they're slower and they're more precise. Where, Chris, I know your dog likes to be like the herders. I mean, it's like it really isn't. Yeah, I think they have an advantage in a way, 'cause they get around things.
Yeah.
But it's really the non-moving thing is really we still have to keep them motivated. And so, or say it's a herding sport, and like to send them out, he's like, why? They're not moving. And it's the same thing as what I think Suzanne was just saying, is, so why do I have to go back and get out this one? The herd's not going. Now, if the wind blows, then he's just like, I gotta go. Then he's out. But it is, I think they're all on the same playing field. And in that respect, is to convince my border collie, like, yeah, you still got to bring all of them in. even though they're not moving and they're not going anywhere. It is. And I really, I mean, from the labs and even the poodles, I've seen just do phenomenal. They're just like, oh, and from the different breed, like Suzanne, your dog brings them right in, like no nonsense. He gives you, right? Just brings it straight in. Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, usually. I mean, once she goes out and gets it, usually.
Yeah, yeah. Once. Oh, okay.
It's convincing her at the end.
It's convincing.
At the end of the, number of balls, it takes a little more convincing. But yeah, she's good at bringing them right back in. Ours was kind of a blend of.
As straight as an arrow, right? And Sandy, your dog, the same thing. Shoot. Oh, shoot. Does a little spin to get out, maybe fly down, but once they get on it, it's a straight.
Back. Yep.
Gotta fix that light.
It's all business.
So it's fun. It's fun, and maybe that's something to promote, that it isn't such a because I've seen the not that I mean Shelties are herding breeds, but I'm seeing some of the non-herding breeds pull in the straightest, but they all seem to have that go out problem. At least mine did. They convinced me that why they need to be herded.
It will be really interesting to see once we have live competitions. If the border collie against the precise golden or poodle, or see who wins. Can't wait. Fun.
I think having the different fields for a live competition will be challenging, as Chris mentioned. Us just moving dogs from building has been problematic.
Yep.
From the inside to outside, like an inside.
Just
inside the inside.
Just changing venue, right?
Yeah.
Even if the dogs know the building. I moved mine from where they first learned Treibball to where they run agility, and it was like they were somewhere totally foreign to them. They didn't know what to do there for the first couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a great point. I mean, that's one of the conversations you have with like after your dog has a bad run, or I'm sure that's in being. It's just like, oh, they do great on our training field. Yeah, because it's different. And I think like that's what I'm learning the most, is that because I don't train enough off location. Because things are just different. Like the stimulus that your dog is getting, like, so we don't see, like we see our perception, but there's the whole, you're in the back of the car and you're put in a crate and here's this, and there's all this unpredictable stimulus that they're getting. That no matter what, I mean, that there's a reason there's only a 20% cues. And so I'm learning a lot. So I just that, like, no matter where it is how to get your dog to like that trust that no matter where you are, like, I got your back and we can do this. I mean, I don't know if it's possible. That's why there is such a low cue rate in all these sports, is because like.
Well, I think it's not just trust, it's also confidence. If the dog's not confident and you're not in the zone and you're not feeling it, the dog goes, what's wrong? So they're focused on you, and they're like, something's wrong, I'm half listening, but I don't really want to go away from you.
Yes,
I agree.
So I was going to say something about, so like Norm 3.5, right? My breeder suckered me into trying to do conformation, which we've done super great at for never doing it in my entire life. And the main point was that she said he gets exposure starting at 4 months old to being in a trial environment, and going to different places. So he gets exposure and kind of gets the understanding of when we're at a live event, there's people, there's other dogs, there's other smells. And so that part of that builds up the trust that you're there for your dog. You're not going to let anything happen to them, but they need that. Then they got to build that confidence and they know what their job is. So that's where your consistency comes into play, because dogs love patterns. And if you break that pattern, they go, what the heck's going on?
Right.
And if they're not confident and they don't know how to offer different behavior quite yet, then that's when they just choose their own adventure. And you get to see them be wild child or go say hi to ring crew or...
That's great. Write that down.
Write that down.
Me too. Choose your own adventure choice.
That's going to be the new T-shirt. Choose your own adventure, Nate.
So Amanda, you're saying that you're thinking that even doing that confirmation with your dog will cross over into Treibball because they're learning, to pay attention in different environments.
Right. So they have a general understanding of the atmosphere and what's going on. So like they're outside, like we do those at outside events, and they're in close quarters next to other dogs, versus like rally, obedience, or agility, where you're in the mix, like nose to nose with other dogs.
Right.
And you need to be there to protect their space if they need that. Especially like my
It
dog
is.
now, he's decided that he's going to protect his space, or I'm going to protect it. And then I'm the jerk if he protects it because someone else is like, your dog's attacking mine. I'm like, you just told your dog to get out of his space.
Yeah. No, it's a real thing. Like you have to walk past it, like to get out, you're waiting and they're just like go, and like there's a whole kind of thing which you don't practice. And so like I've got over the fact that like my dog is like 90%, but I take him here and he's 15%, because you don't have, how do you simulate a dog up your butt waiting behind you? How do you, the dog is for an intact dog that's in front of you. So yeah, yeah, we're not there yet, but that's kind of like what I feel like where the skills are awesome is that, and that's why I constantly just have like 1 or 2 cones or a mat, and I'm just like, okay, here's a whole new scenario.
Yeah, I love that idea.
Yeah.
You're mobile. You can turn any space where you're at
yeah.
into a training space for 2 seconds, and that'll build his confidence up like really quickly. Keep it short and sweet, and then go, hey, I did this. Hey, I got rewarded. Or maybe,
it's the same thing here. Yeah.
Oh, I got this right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's make it a little easier.
Yeah. And then once they got that confidence, you got that base level of confidence, then you work on the longevity. And then when they get there, and then you start fading the cookies away in real time, and then giving them the jackpot at the end. But like I'm doing right now with Norm, I'm in excellent agility, but this is our 5th trial this year because we've been doing so much confirmation stuff. So like every time I'm at home, the week before, like we had a trial last weekend, I kept things really short and sweet, and he got rewarded every time. If I was at my trainer's house, she sets up full courses, you dang right, I'd treat him in between every obstacle or short spurts of obstacles and still give him the jackpot at the end because he needs motivation. He's a soft dog, so I got to make sure he knows he's getting paid, or hey, there's a surprise pay, and he's like, oh, that was pretty cool. Maybe if I keep going, I'll get another cool thing, or maybe she threw my toy for me. So like I kind of like to keep it fresh, like a positive, fresh thing. That's for my dog, though. Not every dog's gonna have that same payout, but that's my consistency. So if I change from that a little bit, then he goes, yeah.
No, I think they all kind of do, like because you don't ask them to do the kind of things you do. I mean, especially Treibball is a different. I mean, you're asking them to go out away from you for 3 minutes. Well, imagine that in a work away from you, and all this other stuff's going on. That's really hard.
Yeah.
So there's no. I mean, the skills are awesome for that. Hey, can you just do a downstay for me for no reason in the middle of this trail, or why are you asking me? Like, I'll get that. But basically, when you go to a trial, that's what you're like. Why would this is someplace different? Why? And so I'm learning that I have this expectation. Oh, well, you know this, blah. But it's not. I'm like, I haven't asked you to do this in this scenario. So
Generalized.
Yep, it's a generalization. You bet.
Yeah, it's
Well, we're at 5 o'clock, so that's our
Wow.
generalized time.
And I'm still not home yet.
Well, I'm glad you were able to talk even though you're on the bus. Thanks for joining us,
Yeah.
and everybody else too. So I guess we will sign off for this month. Thanks for the slides again, Chris, and we will
good job.
chat again next time.
Sounds like fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye, guys.
Bye. Bye. Bye.